Thank you. It gives me a great pleasure to be here with you today. It always inspires me whenever I look forward and I look out into the audiences and see the potential of the youth. This mic is for the camera, not for me. And I'll try to project myself and see the youth. Because the reason why, especially now where we have this movement towards the so-called youth movement that's going on, I had the opportunity to sit in the late 1979 to 1986, and we actually sat and envisioned the very thing that is in existence now today with the technology. And so these are the type of things that I'm going to ask you to do, is to look forward into the future, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 years. To embrace exactly what you spoke of, what your theme is called Innovative Solutions in a Rapidly Changing Environment. And I'm one to tell you right now, for instance, you must always be able to adjust. For instance, in the last week I had a prepared speech for you, whereas my assistant did not have the opportunity to make the 4 p.m. flight. And so I too had to adjust in a rapidly and changing environment and rewrite a speech for you, which I'm about to present to you in the hour it took me to come from here, from the airport, home, and here. And so these are the things that you would have to learn to do in a competitive marketplace, in what you will hear me speak of tonight, which is called a knowledge-based economy. Gone are the days where labor is exclusive to the marketplace. And so we have to look at the concept of developing your minds. First of all, I'm going to speak concerning 4 major areas. The first one is called transformation and change. The second one, which we often hear, especially in the political environment, is the concept of leadership and vision. I will then expand for you what I want each of you to carefully pay attention to, which is called a knowledge-based economy. I also want you to also pay close attention to the 4th concept, which is called 21st century education. Something that I know for some reason or some other, it disturbs me after being one of the pioneers of the digital revolution that we are now experiencing here in the Bahamas. I know most of you use the World Wide Web, you use the social networking sites to exchange information and so on. But you have to learn that there's more power to this mechanism in the global environment than just fun. We are going to just decide. Let's just first look at what we call innovation. The word innovation means characterized by or productive of new things or new ideas. Creative, ingenious, inventive, original. Not the same as what was previously known or done. Different, fresh, innovative, new, newfangled, novel, original, unfamiliar, unprecedented. The key word is called, in the next part of your theme, is solution. And it's the method or process of solving a problem. The answer to or deposition of a problem. The third important thing in your theme again is environment. And that's the circumstances or conditions that surround one's surroundings. The totality of circumstances surrounding an organism or group of organisms, especially the combination of external physical conditions that affect and influence growth, development, and survival of organism. B, the complex of social and cultural conditions affecting the nature of an individual or community. The rapidly and changing is self-explanatory. And so we're going to look at the theme innovation solution in a rapidly changing environment, using transformation and change, leadership and vision, knowledge-based economy, and 21st century education. At the end, I will throw some ideas out to you concerning using very simple business concepts in a knowledge-based economy that allows you to basically think out of the box in the concept of punching a clock. And I will also expand upon later the whole concept of what I call Solomon's secret. And you will understand and get to understand why various people within the global marketplace, Donald Trump, Bill Gates, Michael Dell, and others. I will give you the very simple formula so that you can actually begin to expand your thinking before you leave this educational institution, to put you in the position that you'll be able to go out into the marketplace and find your own niche. Transformation and change. We have to move from responding to a demand for change and recognize this as a movement as one for transformation. Change can be simple. It entails nothing more than being willing to adapt to the manner in which we do things now and in the future. The transformation we need to occur, however, involves a deep internal awareness that pulls us to an understanding that compromising the rules of change we set is not all right just because no one will be hurt by a voluntary lapse of judgment. Change becomes transformative the moment we follow the presence of something greater in ourselves to inform us. It is the moment that the ordinary can become the extraordinary. Change, incremental or otherwise, can affect individuals and organizations in predictive ways. Transformation, the word transformation, pay carefully to this now. We always talk about change in the community. Transformation radically moves individuals and organizations to increase levels of effectiveness, complexity, and productivity. It affects people, processes, structures, and culture. We must all adopt a commitment to transformation of this country, and in doing so we will become the agents of change. People often speak of collaboration of organizations within our community. We need a greater effort to show organizations how they see themselves as collaborative systems embracing true leadership, one that provides conscious, authoritative oversight that create a sense of organizational cohesiveness and a shared vision. True transformation would bring about the change that redefine this country's vision, mission, and structure. Restructure its operations, re-engineer our governmental functions, deploying new systems and methods, and implementation of initiatives that would gain widespread support. Without the appropriate solutions and strategies to help the Bahamas address and move through transformation, no implementation of change without transformation will be successful. I'm going to borrow from the American Library Association that actually defines what is called leadership and vision. Too often time we hear this whole movement, and I saw it recently at the Progressive Liberal Party, and I'm sure it will happen at the Free National Movement's convention, where the move says that it's our time now, that we need to possess the opportunity to run this country. But I want you to know, nowhere in the definition of leadership is the word youth or age. Nowhere in the definition. So it is impossible for you to claim that you are youth because if you are young, you should be given the opportunity to lead. You must first be able to define what leadership is, no matter what's your age, or no matter how young or how old you are. And these are some things here. Leadership is a difficult quality to define and assess. As General Patton once exclaimed, "I have it, but I'll be damned if I could explain it." This paper often offers definitions and characteristics of leadership in order to aid new and perhaps even seasoned politicians as they progress through their career. Leadership is, in essence, the ability, listen to it very carefully, leadership is, in essence, the ability to articulate a vision. The key word is vision. A vision or a desired path of progress and motivate others to strive for that vision. Let me repeat that. Leadership in its essence is the ability to articulate a vision or a desired path of progress and to motivate others to strive for that vision. The common perception is that leadership is an art, not a science. Prominent authors avoid establishing checklists for leadership. There is no list of leadership skills, but there is a general consensus there are certain traits that all leaders have. The most common thing for a leader to have is a vision. I'm going to keep repeating that word, vision, because it's very important. As described by Warren Dennis, the guiding purpose and the compelling goal. The vision is how the organization will be defined in the future. An example will be XYZ Library will be the premier library for the health sciences both in size and scope of collection in the Bahamas. Listen to this again. It says the vision would be that XYZ Library will be the premier library for health sciences both in size, scope, and collection in the Bahamas. Now I want you to pay careful detail to that, because this is not the same as establishing goals. Okay? There's a significant difference between a vision, one that you define for your life, and goals that you set to achieve on the way to that vision. And so you must be cognizant of those very two different things. So in defining your vision for your life, and many of us, and females has a better tendency of doing this, where they can actually see the home they want and see the car they want to drive, and they can actually see the bedrooms and the furnishings and everything to the point that they can almost touch it. And so one of the things you must also understand is this: it's impossible for you to see something that don't exist. It is impossible for you to see something that don't exist. So if you see it in your mind, you just have to make a conscious decision to move towards that. Many of us have has a built-in fear of moving towards those goals because of the requirements that it takes. Sometimes a lot of us, we suffer from something called anxiety, and it's going to be proven. It has been proven in research and in success that more people fail for fear of success than fear of failure. More people fail for fear of success than fear of failure. And now let me explain that a little. In fear of success, when you're about to do something, and I've engaged individuals with stores and other businesses, and I told them, this is how we're going to grow your business, and you're going to have a couple hundred customers, and you're going to be on the World Wide Web. And they say, and it becomes overwhelming for them, and they say, no, I like my business just the way it is, because they can't comprehend how they would handle the size and magnitude of that business. And too many times, when you begin to see the vision within your life, you begin to make excuses and create roadblocks for yourself to achieve those goals. And these are the things that you'll have to begin to focus on. And I would ask you to take an opportunity and define visions and goals. And here's what it says: visions is not the same as establishing goals. Goals can be seen as immediate steps or benchmark which are established to measure progress towards your vision. Example of this will be the XYZ library will be in 3 years. The library collection will exceed 3 million volumes. And in 5 years, the library will exceed 4 million volumes. You notice, the library has grown. Those are goals. The vision is for the library to be what? The most premier library in the sciences in the world. And so what happens is that the vision doesn't have a limit on growth. When you reach the goals that you've set, then you can keep adding to and expanding upon it. And so what we want you to do at the beginning and here is to create a vision for your life, as opposed to say, I'm going to have a goal of obtaining a degree and getting a job and working for 35 to 40 years and getting national insurance and figuring I'll spend 20 years after that for the rest of my life trying to figure out how I will survive on what they give me. You must invoke a vision bigger than any goals that you could ever have seen up to this point. Let me go back to something called fear. I want you to understand what fear is. Fear, there's 3 types of fear in the world, and it's very easy to understand and comprehend. The first fear is called fear of your mother, your father, God, a gun, a car, a stove, a knife. That fear is called reverence or respect. You have no problem in going to God, no problem in going to your parents, no problem in utilizing a gun, a knife, or a stove, but you understand the power of it and the effect that it can have on your life. That's called reverence or respect. The second fear is called fight or flight. If I was to come to attack you, you will make a conscious decision that you will actually fight to preserve your life, or you will run. The third one, I want you to spell it with me. Spell fear for me one letter at a time. False, evidence, appearing, real. If it doesn't fit in one of those 2 categories, it is false, evidence, appearing, real. So all you have to do is, when you're faced with that particular fear within your life, that anxiety that wells up within you, you must make a conscious determination to say, which one of these 2 categories does this fit in? If it doesn't fit into one of those 2 categories, it doesn't exist. Most of you are dating or about to date or something of that. When you see that good-looking guy across the room, you want to, or that lady across there, and you have this anxiety, you want to say hi, and you don't, and eventually you go over and you say hi. What happens to that feeling you have? It disappears. You know why? It never existed. It was all manifested in you. And so what you have to do is make a declared declaration that anything that you face in life to determine your success, that you will actually take the opportunity to define it. Does it fit into one I should have reverence or respect for? Or does it fit into one that I should actually fight or flight? And if it isn't, I will dismiss it and move forward with whatever it is that I think of. Now back to a vision. A vision is indeed meant to inspire. Along with the ability to articulate a vision, a true leader needs to be able to make a vision a shared vision. Nothing you have, no vision you have, can be accomplished without the help, nurturing, or involvement of others. There's no such thing as an exclusive vision. It doesn't exist. Somewhere, somehow, it will rely on the cooperative involvement of others in the community, others in other businesses, others in other sourcing. It will involve someone else. A leader, and the reason I'm going to focus on this vision and leader is because any successful individual, it's inevitable that they will be or will become a leader. And so in defining it, you don't say, it's my time. I've been young long enough to be able to take my position now as a leader. What you have to do is define. And you don't have to tell anyone what you are or that you're a leader. All you have to do is define your vision. A leader motivates, drives, and inspires other members of the organization, and often those outside of it, to believe in the vision. That motivation and creation of belief must translate in an effort to pursuit of that vision. Leadership is a highly relevant topic for the business person. Some writers have suggested that we may be headed towards a leadership crisis within the country regarding the shortage of new individuals entering the political and business arena, and the substantial number of current politicians and leaders are expected to retire within the next decade. You will not automatically succeed then just by saying you are. You must have a vision that others can buy into for the development of your country, and first of all for the development of yourself. It's impossible to sell a dream of a country when you have not defined one for yourself. At the same time, the rapid rate of change regarding globalization and technological advancement shows no signs of slowing. Thus, it is necessary for you to prepare newer business people to take on the leadership roles in the Bahamas, if the Bahamas is going to remain strong and vital. There are many definitions of leadership, and much has been written on the difference between leadership and management. Now, I'm going to use something that Don Lee Riggs says, and we're going to move on to something else. While management skills are important to keep organizations running smoothly and effectively, the focus is on leadership. Now, we often see people in certain environments, and we see them in certain businesses, and I want you to listen to very carefully to what Donnelly Higgs writes. It says, the manager, and we see people running these businesses, we see people running these companies, and we say, oh, they make a good leader. But I want you to understand, because oftentimes, and even in our political arena, you will see excellent managers where they were excellent at running a business, and they have taken the role of leadership, and they are a dismal failure. Because one, management and leadership are not one and the same. The manager administers. The leader motivates. The manager is a copy. The leader is an original. The manager focuses on systems and structure. The leader focuses on people. The manager relies on control. The leader inspires trust. The manager has a short-range view. The leader has a long-range perspective. The manager asks how and when. The leader asks what and why. The manager imitates. The leader originates. The manager accepts the status quo. The leader challenges it. The manager does things right. The leader does the right thing. I'm going to move quickly on to what this is something I want most of you to pay very close attention to, for those of you especially going into the business world. And this is the new global sphere, and it's called a knowledge-based economy. Have any of you ever heard of a knowledge-based economy? Any of you? It isn't coming, it's here. It isn't coming, it's here. And I can tell you it's here. The last time I've been in what you guys call a conventional job was 1979, when I was cutting lawns during the summer. From 1979 to today, I've sold my mind. In fact, as I stand before you today, in the back of my mind, I'm doing some calculations and computations that will actually have a check for me very close to maybe $5,000 to $10,000 tomorrow, simply for selling my opinion. That's what is called a knowledge-based economy. It is when you develop your mind, and you can sell your mind over and over again. Tomorrow, for most of you who have a part-time job, if you don't go and punch a clock, you don't get paid. I will sleep, lay in the bed, turn on the TV, roll over, make a decision, decide whether to get up or go back to sleep, and then I will type an email, send it to the individual with my wiring instructions. Simple as that. Selling my mind, selling my opinion. And that's what you need to move to. And this is what the world has been moving to. This isn't something that's coming. This is something that's here. And the expression is, the future is not tomorrow. The future for you is now. Not tomorrow. The future for you is now. So what you have to do is an expression of a biblical expression, say what? And this is one of the things I wanted for you guys to understand. Every single one of you was born either a male or a female. And I would like to know, how many of you have ever seen a half-pregnant woman? A half-pregnant woman. How's that? Describe a half-pregnant woman for me. Yes. See, that's a very important point. Let me explain to you why. In your life, you must adopt something called the law of absolute. Either you are or you're not. There's no in between. That's why there's no such thing as darker than dark, or colder than cold. The word darkness is the complete absence of light. It's when you begin to take these so-called medium parts to say, halfway there, I'm almost ready, you're not. I want you to know, there's no difference from the guy that jumps 1 foot across a 10-foot ditch than the one that jumps 9.5 feet. There's no difference. They both fail. Second place is first loser. Straight up, that's it. You can dress up whatever you want. And see, this is what is called law of absolute. See, if you adopt the law of absolute, then you will actually remove the options of second, third, and fourth place from your life. And you will actually accept, I am actually pregnant with success, or I'm not. There's no in between. There's no half pregnant. You will begin to focus on what is called your work ethics, your study habits, all of these things. Because the only person you're cheating is yourself. If you're feeling a pain right now in your left shoulders and I ask you, how are you doing? And you say, I'm fine. I don't know any difference. So the only person you lie to is yourself. The worst thing that you can do is to be bankrupt of love for self. Worst thing it is. Because if you love yourself in the true definition of love, you will not put yourself in second place. You will not cheat yourself of the opportunity that's available to you. And this is where the whole concept of, but again, let me go back to what I told you about male and female. Every single one of you was born a male and female. And many of you, and I hope, maybe not in this room, but somewhere on this campus, will become 40, 50, and 60-year-old boys and girls. There's a biblical fact that says, age does not make you a man or a woman. It says, you become. It means to become. It says, as a child, I did childish things. As a man, I put away those childish things. You can, again, this is the law of absolute. You can't hold on to certain aspects and say that you are a man. You could be 30 years old and 40 years old and still be a male, a 40-year-old male, but you'll never be a man. You'll be a 35-year-old female, but you'll never be a woman. It's all based on your actions. The commitment that you make to put away those childish thinking, those childish thoughts, those childish excuses that you have. I mean, and I guess nowadays we don't use the dog eat it anymore. I guess the hard drive crashed, the flash lost, the email lost in cyberspace, those various different things. But what you have to do is to say, me. Start with the person in the mirror. Not the person in the back, the person in the mirror. When you're standing face to face in the mirror, the one closest to you, start with that. Now let's get back to the knowledge-based economy. The knowledge-based economy results from a fuller recognition of the role of knowledge and technology in the economic growth. Knowledge as embodied in human beings, as human capital, and in technology has always been crucial to economic development. As it can be seen, the economic downturn in the world, as it can be seen, the economic downturn in the world economics has affected tourism, one of the three major pillars of our economy. This shows the need for us to embrace a new economic model for sustainability. For those of you who have the expectation of entering into tourism, banking, or financial services, I have an expression: wake up. It won't be there. If you plan on just saying, if you're planning on existing, we will have a space for you. But if you don't, if you're planning on moving into this knowledge-based economy, I suggest that you become aware, that you expand your knowledge base, expand whatever skills and services, research as to find out what the global thinks is. I'll expand further on it here. We need to consider that in the 21st century economy model that globalization is bringing about, that utilizes knowledge and maximizes technology to enhance and involves the Bahamian population fully in the employment opportunities and income generation activities that these model brings. Please do not confuse or combine the global economy with free trade agreements. Though they may be interconnected, they are not dependent. A lot of you may not have heard, I'm one of the advocates that was against the free trade. Not against it, I was one for the delaying of it, for us to begin the preparatory framework before we move into it. For the mere fact that I'm sitting in a room right now with 20, 30 of you, and none of you know about it. Yet, within 4 years, you will be actually participating. In China today, there is over 200 million people with advanced degrees that who you must compete with in 5 years in the global economy. You're sitting in here saying, I'm getting my AA in Bachelor of Science. There's 300 million people in China and India who will have masters and PhDs. 300 million, that's more than the entire population of the United States that you must compete with. You're not competing with your person sitting next to you. You're not competing with the ones who graduated a year or two before you, or the ones who will be graduating after. Within 5 years, you will be entering into a global marketplace, and you will be competing with the rest of the world. As much people enter the college in China today as our total population for the Bahamas. 300,000 people a year between China and India that enter seeking advanced degrees every year, expanding upon their knowledge base. So you can feel comfortable in saying, I'll just do just enough to get by. And when they come, and by the way, the income in India, I have, as an example, my company, Bahamas Digital Solutions. I have 17 individuals in India that work for me. I have 5 people in Australia and 4 people in Costa Rica that work for me. I've never seen, heard these people. We communicate strictly by internet. I tell them what I want done, they do it, I critique it, and back and forth. If I was to hire the 17 individuals that I hire in India, I probably couldn't get no more than 2, maybe 4 individuals in the Bahamas to work for the price that they work for me for. So you could understand the perspective of moving into the global marketplace. If I was to hire a person here in the Bahamas to come up with a digital web page, they'd want to charge me $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. A guy in India charged me a flat rate of $200, and you'd spend a week there, a month, just to find it. But you'll come to me and you'll say, Mr. Johnson, look what I got from the College of the Bahamas. I demand $20,000. Well, I have 300 million people to choose from, and that's who you're competing with. Today's global economy is one in transition to a knowledge economy as the extension of the information society. This transition requires that the rules, practices that determine our success in the industrial economy, that's where most of you are still thinking of. The industrial economy needs rewriting in an interconnected, globalized economy. It's funny that so many of you embrace the digital age and then abandon it when you come to school. You go home, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, all those different things, but you never think about incorporating it within a business model. There's people that make millions using things that you use for toys because you have not had that paradigm shift as to what you need to do for a knowledge-based economy. in a knowledge-based economy, in a knowledge-based and globalized economy where knowledge resources such as know-how, listen to this carefully, where know-how, expertise, and intellectual property are more critical than any economic resources this country can possess, such as land, natural resources, or even manpower. Let me repeat that. In a globalized economy, knowledge resources such as know-how, expertise, and intellectual property are more critical than economic resources such as land, natural resources, or even manpower. So the whole concept of saying, I just need to find me a piece of land to build me a house and all those different things, and I say to you, develop your mind, and you can buy as much land anywhere you want, anywhere in the world. Let's talk about present and future change. Now, I want you to listen to this, for those of you that think you have mastered this business class. Every 2 or 3 years, the knowledge base doubles. Every day, 7,000 scientific and technical articles are published. Satellites orbiting the globe send enough data to fill 19 million volumes in the Library of Congress every 2 weeks. High school graduates have been exposed to more information than your grandparents were in their complete lifetime. Only 15% of jobs, listen to this very carefully now, only 15% of jobs will require a college education. Only 15% of jobs in the future will require a college education, but nearly all jobs will require the equivalent knowledge of a college education. There will be as much change in the next 3 decades as there was in the last 300 years. There will be as much change in the next 3 decades. Most of your working lives. There'll be as much change in the next 3 decades as there have been in the last 300 years. In view of this is what we need to do. We need to develop, and when I said we, I'm talking as a collaborative effort, because you cannot actually be involved in a society and not participate. You don't become involved in it after you're finished. You must make yourself available and become integrated in it as you exist. We need to develop new employment strategies for the Bahamas, and that requires you to begin to think, investigate, and develop ideas and concepts of things that you think that can be done. Remember the concept I told you? It's impossible for you to see something that don't exist. So if you see it in your mind, you just must make the decision as to move forward towards it. So we must develop new employment strategy. We must immediately create an economic action plan that needs to be prepared for the development and diversification of the economy of the Bahamas. Support and guidance of experts and other knowledgeable persons should be enlisted in this task. If you have an idea or a concept, all you have to do is seek out someone and expertise in that. I think most of you have used to chip your teeth tonight, but not actually enter dental school. What would you do? You'd go and buy the expertise of a dentist. In that same capacity in business, whatever skills you're lacking. Now, I want you to pay close attention to these things, because all of this is going to build on the concept I told you called Solomon's secret. In the end of this presentation, I'm going to explain to you why Solomon was considered the wisest man that ever lived. It should be preceded by detailed consultation with our community-based organizations, the government, and other stakeholders to clearly define aims, objects, strategies, and activities of the project proposal. I see this as an opportunity for us as a country to begin building a world-class, world-leading, world-class education system that equips all Bahamians with the knowledge, skills, and values to be successful citizens in the 21st century. We can use this economic down period to educate ourselves to embrace this new economy. Because for those of you that's sitting and waiting that we're going to have an economic revitalization, so you will say tourism will come back, and banking will come back, and financial services come back. I want you to know, even if they have some minuscule growth, I want you to be aware that the global economy will be growing hundreds of times faster, and your existence in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10 years will be in that global economy. We must end the concept, especially as young people, you must end the concept that the only thing past the airport or the wharf is shopping. It's a global economy that you must participate in. You must expand your desire to seek employment beyond the concept of graduating from here, preparing a resume, and sending it to whatever circle of companies that may be available here in the Bahamas. You must begin looking at a global perspective. You must begin doing research. Begin looking at the skills that is going to be required in the global marketplace so that you could identify your niche in that place and begin to work towards that goal. And you must, I'm going to tell you, you must make the leap. Remember, 9.5 feet across a 10-foot ditch is no better than a guy jumping 1. Either you make it or you don't. The knowledge-based economy is marked by an increasing labor market demand for highly skilled laborers who are also enjoying higher wage premiums. Knowledge is now recognized as the driver of productivity and economic growth, leading to a new focus on the role of information technology and learning in economic performance. Investments. You can listen to Barack Obama as President of the United States that sets the trend for the global economy. And you will see that investments are now being directed to high technology goods and services, particularly information and communications technology. Computers and related equipment are the fastest growing component of the tangible investment. Equally important are more intangible investments. These are intangible is those that you can't touch. These are the knowledge-based economy, such as research and development, the training of the labor force, where you become an expert in your particular skill, and you actually train those that is trying to enter into those low areas. And you always worry about the immigration status, such as we say the Haitians and Jamaicans and the Indians and all these other people that's coming into the economy. Instead of trying to compete with them for the job, put yourself in the HCD. It's called Human Capital Development. So you will be in a position to be the one to train them to do the job that they want. Investments in knowledge and human capital development can increase the productive capacity and other factors of this society, especially the public service, and increase production will also transform them into new product and processes. And since these knowledge investments are characterized by increasing rather than decreasing returns, they are the key to our long-term economic growth. Listen to this again. The digital revolution has not only begun. I can tell you, being involved with it for 30 years, it has intensified. When we sat in IBM, we had something called a disk drive, a floppy disk drive. It had 1 megabyte of information. Our dream in 1984 was that one day you would actually have a 100 megabyte hard drive in your computer. That was our biggest goal and ambition. Again, that was goal. But our vision was that one day we would actually see exactly what is happening today. And I'm pleased and I'm satisfied, and it gives me great joy to see it. But it also brings me a level of frustration to know, and I want you to understand this. In the early part of this year, I think a building in Europe somewhere, they had a big announcement where that building, was the entire units, was wired for 100 megabytes per second. The entire building. Well, I want you to know one thing. Most of you in your 20s or in your teens, I want you to know for the last 15 years, Bahamas, the entire country, 78,000 homes have been wired for 100 megabytes per second. You have been ahead of the curve for 15 years, ahead of everyone else. We are one of the most digitally prepared countries in the world and one of the most least utilized. Remember when Cable Bahamas used to give you the 1 megabyte? Then they went to the 3, the 6, and the 9. Did they ever come in and change your modem or anything else? They didn't. They didn't have to. Software, it's called CAPS. They use the software because they basically say you're not ready for it. You have not prepared yourself. I have a 100 megabyte line running into my house. I have a 1,000 megabyte line running into my business. And that's equivalent for those of you that have the 1 megabyte. Just imagine something I can download. I'm talking digital, not just your analog coming through your modem. I can download information on my computer at home anywhere from 100 to 300 times faster than you do. I can almost reach into the internet and get what you want. And that's what we are moving to. That is what your country, your Bahamas, is already prepared for. All you have to do is actually educate and inform yourself so you could embrace it. So you could actually begin to utilize this infrastructural backbone that you have paid for, your parents have paid for. You have paid for it through your parents. Because ultimately, whatever economic expenditures that has been spent, you and your children eventually will be the ones paying it back. So it's only fair that you actually become informed and embrace it so that you can actually reap some of the benefits of it. Because there will be others who will come in here knowing it and they will reap it, and you will become their employees. The limitations of employment opportunities to thousands of young people such as yourselves in the Bahamas today is indeed worrisome. The latest figures available indicate that the number of unemployed youth increased steadily since 1993 to present. We must ask, have our government developed any employment strategies for the Bahamas? No, they haven't. Well, I challenge you to form yourself into groups and to consider focusing on developing solutions in the absence of anyone else doing so. Consider, these are some subcategories. The informal and small enterprises. These are the smaller businesses. The creation of smaller enterprises and support of existing enterprises and initiative in the informal sector is often a key tool in developing country policies to increase employment and personal incomes. Although this is a very broad topic and has attracted a considerable amount of research attention, you need to make it your goal to focus on drawing together these resources that have practical relevance for the design and implementation of job creation and employment generation programs for which we can build our economy. And that's the informal economy and small businesses. You see a lot of it. You see the mom and pop stores, you see the card people, you see the car washes. And all of these things can be organized into a more structured manner for what we call the informal economy. Now, you have to also consider the informal and formal linkages. The linkages between the formal and formal economy should be a significant area of investigation. The reason for increased activity in this area is that informal economy represents a potential area for job creation and poverty eradication, although there are differences as to the channels that works best. And the way the formal and informal work is, for instance, you have individuals that actually buy the phone cards and then they wholesale it. They sub-wholesale it to other individuals who then sell it on the street corners. And you ever wondered how they can sell a card, a $20 card for $17 and make a profit, and the person they buy it from sells it for maybe 15 or 14 and make a profit, and somebody else, and you go all the way till you go to BTC and you buy the card for $9 or $10. It's a process. And so what it is understanding how these formal and informal linkages works, not just for the calling card, but in all businesses. And you can find your niche in each of those things to find out whether you fit in. And that comes under the concept of entrepreneurship. You must call upon your government, and too many times a lot of you sit and say, well, when my mom vote, I want you to know you have just as much power and influence as I do. You have one thing: vote. No vote, no voice. And I'm not just talking about I am a PLP or an FNL. You must identify ideas, concepts, and actually begin to see the vision that you want to be articulated within this country. And you must find individuals, and you must reject those individuals, not after they're selected. I want you to begin the process of letting them know. If you begin to actually raise the bar and have your expectation there, if you know, and like you say, some of you young ladies and some of you guys, you say, he know not even to come talk to me because I am out of his league. And it's the same concept. And so you establish a bar of your expectation, of your vision, and you let it be known in a public forum. And you join together in small groups, and just five of you. And 5 of you each adopt 5 and encourage those others to adopt 5. You'll be amazed that by the time you reach up to the 5th level, you will have a force of over 3,000 individuals. In any community, there's only 4,000 voters. If you can actually galvanize 1,000 of them to represent and present your idea for growth and development within your community, you can make a difference. Your one vote does make a difference. And so what it is, though, is not to actually wait for someone to come to you. Present your vision, define your ideas, define the country that you want to be involved in. But you must actually do the research and expand yourself. Take away some of that YouTube and Facebook time and put it towards your development and your growth. It's a simple expression that I tell my children. And it goes as this. When you're not practicing, somebody else is. And when they meet you, they will beat you. When you're not practicing, somebody else is. And when they meet you, they will beat you. So practice in your life that art of perfection. Expand your knowledge base so that you can compete in this very knowledge-based economy that I speak of. You must call upon your government to increase investments for small and medium-sized business productivity, increase export readiness, assist in business growth and viability, and strengthen the national and international competitiveness for behemoth businesses. Let's go back and look at what I call innovation and the knowledge-based economy. And I want you to, this is another part we want to say is, we must ask government to provide investments to increase access to these same knowledge-based resources, including the internet, to increase development and commercialization of new technology, and to increase the participation of you, our youth, which is the important factor for the future into our economy. In tourism, for those of you that's thinking of entering tourism, you must demand investments to further develop eco and cultural tourism, market development, planning and strategies, design and engineering, critical infrastructure, and related projects. For those of you that is eco-sensitive and actually have, and actually all of us should be, because all of us should want the concept of called sustainable communities. We must also seek to include investments that increase business opportunities and economic infrastructure for further development of leading industries, development of e-commerce, development of rural clusters, planning and strategy investments that help communities implement sustainable development strategies. This must also include investments that bring about increased Bahamian involvement in culture and tourism sectors, increase education and skill development of the Bahamian youth, and increase protected participation. Listen to this very carefully. You must insist on increased protected participation in the Bahamian workforce. It's impossible for you to harness the knowledge, sharpen the skills without the practical experience. You will not be ascended to the throne as the manager, administrator, vice president of Kirsten or anywhere else unless you are given the opportunity to actually go into the workplace, develop your skills, develop your knowledge base. Okay? Let's go quickly here. 21st century education. Living and learning in the 21st century requires a new thinking. Our children must prepare for fulfilling lives and effective responsible citizenship in a society that's global, high-tech, diverse, and information saturated. You should be preparing yourselves for jobs. Listen to this carefully, I'm winding up. You should be preparing yourself for jobs that do not exist, using technology that is yet to be invented, in order to solve problems that we don't yet understand or even recognize. Do you know that in 2002, all of the newly created information in the year 2002 was greater than all the words that ever spoken? And just in the year 2002, that in 5 years from today, that the supercomputer will have more processing power than the human brain, and in 30 years, your laptop will also. See, our educational system is rooted in an industrial era, and routine work was the norm, and mastery of the 3 R's. For those of you that believe in arithmetic, reading, and writing, I want you to know that era is gone. In the 21st century, the world's work requires thinking, problem solving, synthesizing, communication, designing, and developing new products. This is why we must embrace 21st century learning. Okay? Let me just skip here up to the back so I can give you an opportunity to speak to me. Now, for those of you that enter into it, and it's a concept called ADAPT. It's called adapt. Okay? You must embrace technology as a dynamic system that continuously adjusts the programs to the learning experience to match you the student growing ability. What you have to do is this, and adapt goes like this. What you have to do is you must build skills to develop your confidence and create a lifelong love of learning. Your learning doesn't end on the day you graduate. A stands for you to assess your abilities. What you must do is start to assess whatever skills and abilities that you may have so that you will know your true skills. Don't pretend, because you're not faking out for me, you're not faking for anyone else. To know your true skills in a learning environment. D stands for develop the skills that you're lacking. Tailor your growth and development based on your own individual progress. Okay? Every day you get involved. You do not compete with anybody in this classroom or any of your classroom. You will never be like them. You are a unique creature. All you have to do is make a pledge to yourself every day that you get up and say, today I will be better than I was yesterday. If you are a C student that makes 60, don't aim for 90 or 100. Try 62, 65. And once you attain that, try 68 and 70 and go and grow in development. Because if you look and say you make 70s and she makes 90s and you said, and you gauge yourself by her and you don't make the 90, you will consider yourself a failure. But if you're a C student and you make it to a B minus, you have made an accomplishment and you will grow incrementally. And A stands for adjust your levels. That is automatically adjusted to your growing abilities. To always learn new, innovative ways that is stimulating. Never ever choose ways where you become to a point of being frustrated. P, provide help to those around you. Nothing helps you grow than to be able to help someone else attain whatever goals and development that they may attain. You can also become a learning experience, because you will never live long enough to make all the mistakes yourself, so you can learn from someone else. Okay? Trust me. I try to make them all and I still got thousands more to go. So what I've done is I quit trying to make mistakes and I start to observe all those people who make mistakes. So if you see somebody walk over there on the side and they walk off a ledge because there's no steps there, you don't go to the edge and say, I got to do this myself. Doesn't make sense. So you learn from other people's mistakes. And T for in adapt stands for track your progress. Monitor every skill to pinpoint your strengths and your weaknesses. And it'll help you grow in development. Now, in ending, let me say this. I'm going to read to you a mantra that I've discovered, okay? But in ending, let me say this. Our success is how well we have done relatively compared to how well we could have done, not compared to how well we have done. Let me repeat that again. Success is how well we have done relatively compared to how well we could have done, not compared to how well we have done compared to how bad somebody else has done. Got that? Let's repeat it again. Success is how well we could have done, relatively compared. Wait, let's read. Success is how well we have done, relatively compared to how well we could have done, not compared to how well we have done compared to how bad somebody else has done. Okay? Now I want you to listen to very carefully this, and I'm going to end in this. This is an awesome mantra that I came across a few years ago. It's called A Personal Commitment to Excellence by John Compere, C-O-M-P-E-R-E. And I'd like to share this with you to be in public. It's kind of like a modified version that we use it's a group of people that we call Bahamas Leadership Academy and Bahamas Leadership Institute that I am in the process of developing. It goes like this. We are the sum total of the genetic endowment from which we came into the world, and all of the experiences which have made up our life. Some of them have been good, some bad, but all of them have been ours. And we can repeat that. Let me try to put it in the eyes. I am the sum total of the genetic endowment for which I came into the world, and all of the experiences which have made up my life. Some of them have been good, some bad, but all of them have been mine. What I am currently is what I deserve to be. My life, my reputation, my influence is the mirror of the choices I have made. If I am not everything I can be, it's because I've chosen not to be more. I should make a determined effort not to live in the past, which I cannot change, or to waste time waiting for the future, which I cannot guarantee, but to live in the emerging reality of the now, which is all that I have. I certainly cannot do everything, but I can do some things. I certainly cannot do everything well, but I can do some things well. I cannot guarantee that I will win, but I can promise that I will not allow losing to become a habit. and that if I fail, it will not be a failure of nerve. So I will stand tall, feel deeply, think large, strive mightily, and put God first in all that I do. Remember that what I accomplish probably won't change the course of human history, but what I attempt will create the course of my own personal history. Thank you. And if you have any questions concerning the global economy and where you need to go ahead. Just speak up a little louder for me, please.
So a few points that you point out that I found was interesting, but as one of the particular points that I saw that was important. When you talk about our leaders, like most of our leaders right now, you say most of them, they come from businesses whereas they may have been
good managers.
Good managers, but when they come into the political world, they end up failing. And I think this is as a result of the fact is when they come, they are elected leaders, they're elected to represent the you make a vote, you make a vote for the power, but when they come into power, they start making decisions on their own. Like you said, when you have a vision is not only for yourself.
See, what happens is you as a community must define what your vision is. See, you must define your vision first as a smaller community within yourself, within your neighborhoods, and then you actually keep adding on. What is your vision for your neighborhood? What is your vision for your community? What is your vision for your island? What is your vision for the country? What is your vision for the world? And what happens is I've found in the political culture of being here in 5 years, what we have is we have politicians that is selected rather than elected. And they are appointed and believe that they are anointed. So what happens is, again, it goes back to what I told you. If you actually define your expectation and make it known to the government, I can assure you, and you don't have to wait. Right within your community, there's hundreds of youths just like yourself, disadvantaged. Every year, 5,000 of you. You are given an opportunity that a lot of them maybe will never have that opportunity. But you can become their voice. You can galvanize them and represent collectively what they have to say. Why? Because you will also need to depend on them for your success. Because collectively, you will all be competing in the global marketplace. You will all be fighting collectively to preserve this thing that you call the Bahamas. And so you cannot ignore the fact that, well, I'm in college, so I'm straight, I'm cool, I won't worry about them. If you don't stand for them, how would you expect when they come, when the foreigners come, for them to stand with you? And those are the things. If you believe that you possess the intellectual capacity, that you are more advanced than them, then I challenge you to stand up and represent it in more than just thoughts. Represent it in your deeds. And so when you set that standard, if you set a standard that says, this is what they expect, no longer will they come and make promises to you. They will no longer come and say, this is my plan. They will come and ask you for a change. What is yours? And then you will begin to choose individuals based on their life experiences and the character of the individuals that can accomplish the goals that you want to achieve. And it's very easy. You don't have to wait till honestly, you don't have to wait until the next election to begin to galvanize yourself. I ask you to form yourself right now in groups of 5 and let it be known. Put it in paper. You'll be amazed if you start find 5, 10, 15, 25 people and call a meeting for your particular MP. Move into their environments. You don't necessarily have to be from that district. If I'm in Lukaya, is my love any less for the people in Marco City? Or do I plan to be isolated? Is my job, my work, my home is going to be remaining there? Or am I part of the greater Bahamas? So what you do is collectively, right here, the greatest movement you have right here, you actually scream it. It's our time. But you have always just leave it as words. You have yet to demonstrate a collective plan, a collective vision that encompasses the goals that you hope to achieve in bringing that vision into fruition. That's what you have to do. Put it down on paper, define it, refine it, and put it to your leaders, put it to your teachers. That's what your teacher's here for. Don't wait for him to tell you. Come and challenge him. In fact, every single day, you should not leave the classroom. And I tell my children, when they come home, I always ask them, what did you ask the teacher today? Not what the teacher tell you. What did you ask? Because it actually lets me know. Because I could guarantee you that none of you leave this classroom knowing everything that you need. and you actually leave here, because you don't want to be the one to raise your hand not knowing that the person on the side of you is just as dumb as you. They're waiting for you to ask. So both of you guys leave over here completely lost. Stevie Wonder asking Ray Charles, what did he say? Nothing. What did he see? Nothing. And that's what the problem is. And that's, again, it's fair. What are you afraid of? You going to leave here ill-prepared, half pregnant for success? It won't work. Any other questions?
You can't mention any Solomon's secret. I don't think you ever said it.
Before I leave, I'm going to say that. I'm just waiting till you finish with the secret. I'm going to explain to you what happens. I have a total of 27 degrees and qualifications. If I knew what I knew, now, I wouldn't have been to school. Everything I learned that I needed was after I finished school. Everything. Now, you ready for Solomon's secret?
Yes.
Okay, here it is. Bill Gates, Michael Dell, and a host of other millionaires. If you go to Forbes magazine, they will actually give you a test, and it'll show that your odds for success or becoming a millionaire decreases upon completion of high school. You lose points. You also lose points once you finish college, a master's degree, and even a PhD. You lose points. Why? Because it teaches you the condition. If you go in with a particular point, we use the expression, it's a little obscene, I'm going to see what it says. It says, I went to school and got me a BS degree. Then I went and got me an MS, more of it. And then I went and got me a PhD, pile higher and deeper. Why? Because what happens is, to understand in the business environment, for those of you all in business, many of you will leave here with an accounting degree, a business management, a business administration, law, and all of these different things, and you will master that particular area. And if you don't enter into the knowledge-based economy, you will enter into the work-based economy. And you will find someone like me that will take the one accountant. And this is the Solomon secret. I will find the one accountant, the one engineer, the one lawyer, the one manager, the one secretary, and I'll put you all together, and I'll start that one company that will make me millions. Solomon's secrets. Whenever Solomon was faced with a problem, he called in his wise men, his reverends, his clown jesters, everything, and he became the sum of all of them. Every single one of you will leave here with a degree, that does nothing but prepare you for the workplace. And this is why I encourage you to develop your minds. Because what happens is, if you leave here with an accounting degree, you will go down to Ernest & Young and you will push the paper from 9 to 5 for the check. And you will repeat it over and over again for the next 40 years. Then you will go home and wait to die. And that's what it is. And so what happens is when Solomon's secret is to apply that principle, you have now mastered the ordered thinking process. That's what college does. It gets you into what is called an ordered thinking process. But do not allow the process to become your master. Now you have known it, and it's the principle. When you learn the principle of gravity, and no matter where you go, take the principle of whatever discipline it is you're learning, and no matter where you go, that principle will always apply. Gravity is no different here in the Bahamas than it is in China or in America. The same principle applies. And so, and what you do is you take the concept of business, and this is why I tell you that same free time you guys spend on YouTube and Facebook, try looking at Forbes, try searching the word success, try search for the word personal development, career development, and expand your mind and prepare yourself, because it isn't if they're coming, it's when, and it's actually sooner rather than later. Thank you.